Hey all, I'm Colette and I'm here today from Witch Ways to talk about the basics of protection in kind of a deep dive way, as well as a few intermediate things that you can do. I talk a lot about protection in my videos, but it's been a long time since I've done any kind of overview. Okay, let's jump in. What is protection and why do we even need it? Protection works on both the physical and the magical worlds. And remember that when you are creating protection for the physical world, yourself or your home or your car, it doesn't replace having secure locks and actual physical barriers. In fact, I think it's a really helpful idea to charge things like locks so that the magic knows where to go. So people always ask me why we need magical protection. Well, once we start doing spiritual or magical work, we become a lot more shiny and interesting in the other world, and spirits might start taking an interest in us. And I just want to say that just because they're on the other side or they're in the other world, it doesn't mean they're beneficial and friendly. Just because they're not in a body doesn't mean that they have a PhD in wisdom and are benevolent and wise. Also, when you do a lot of magic, a lot of that shiny, magical energy kind of sticks around and tends to build up in your house. Or if you're going through any kind of emotional crisis, stagnant energy tends to build up. And these things can draw in spirits that might want to feed on it. I think it's really important to clear the space before you put up any protection. And if I'm making physical charms as protection, I'll have them ready to go and put up there as soon as I'm done clearing, or maybe right towards the end. There are a lot of ways to clear the energy and space, and many clearing herbs are also protective. So of course, smoke clearing is the most common, and I like to use herbs that I can find really easily or grow and aren't part of indigenous practices for very obvious reasons. One of my favorite blends is rosemary, blue vervain, and you can add in some agrimony if you have any reason to think that a human flung energy at you, whether it was on purpose or unintentionally. Crack a window or a door while you're clearing and then close it when you're done. I like to go around and give the charms that I already have up for protection a little boost, just touching them with my hands or giving them a breath as an offering to just kind of give them a boost once I do my clearing. And I like to start when I'm clearing at the center of my house, but some people like to start at the top and move down. It's not anywhere near as common, but you can use smoke to protect and clear. And if you're a beginner, just do it in 2 rounds. In the first round, just ask the herbs to clear the space with the windows or doors open. And then in the second round, close those windows and doors and ask the herbs to protect the space. And if you've been doing this a while as a witch, you can probably hold both intentions at once. I often make up a little chant or say something like, clear, protect, and bless. Clear, protect, and bless. You can also use clearing herbs and steams if you're sensitive to smoke, or have animal friends that are sensitive because their lungs are much more tiny than ours. I think the most common way to provide protection is adding physical charms and spells to protect yourself and your house. So place house protective objects near liminal spaces like doors, entryways, fireplaces, and windows, or infuse the house with sprays and steams of protective herbs. You can put up a protective symbol like a pentacle or a sigil. Just draw it on a piece of paper. You can hide it somewhere central in your house or place it in a charm bag and add it to liminal spaces. You can also put up bundles of fresh or protective dried herbs. If you want to create a charm bag, you can use dried herbs or stems of fresh herbs if you grow them. And you can add as many as you want to the charm bag. But personally, and this is just my personal gnosis, I like to use the symbolism of 4 for protection because it feels like a very stable and foundational number, sort of like the 4 corners of a house. For example, you could use angelica root, basil or rosemary leaves, calendula flowers. As a former herbalist, I see calendula as sort of protecting barriers and healing edges, which that again is just a personal gnosis. And I use rose stalks in summer with the thorns and holly in winter. But you can use whatever you want. You could also use a branch carved with protective symbols and hang bundles of protective herbs from that branch in liminal spaces like doorways and windows. This is another one that's not very common, but you can use steams of protective herbs to infuse the house walls and windows with a protective coating that helps to secure the home. But don't use plants that are toxic to human and animals, so search that before you pick herbs about that. Rosemary is the one that I use the most. I have a really big plant, it's easy to find in stores, and it's safe for animals. I also really like pine needles gathered during my walks with lavender and rosemary as a steam. I feel like it helps clear, soothe, and protect my nervous system and my intuitive channels, as well as protecting the house. Which I might skip that one though if you have animals. I used to use it all the time, but animals are often sensitive to lavender, and now I have Mr. Kitten. You can paint protective symbols like a pentacle on windows, mirrors, or around locks with salt water or a protective herb tea blend, and you can also do the same thing, creating a sigil to use for protection. Protective oils can be made of any protective herbs, and I like olive oil as a base. Just dot it around your doors and windows. And my favorite is a fiery protection oil that I make from St. John's wort oil from fresh flowers, and add a drop or 2 of cinnamon essential oils. And if for some reason you can't put oils on your walls and you're more skilled, you can make a rosemary infused oil, cover your hands with the oil, pull up some energy from below and down from above, and hold the vision of protection for your home. Run that through your body, out your hands, saying something like, rosemary, sacred herbs, protect this space and all in it from harm. And I just want to say I have a blog article on making magical oils, and I just put one up on liminal space that you might want to check out on my website. I'll put the links for that in the description. And if you have a basement with a concrete floor, it's really easy to draw protective symbols onto it. You could also discreetly chalk symbols or sigils outside onto the foundation or near entryways. And this lasts for about 6 months or so. Symbols were often carved into the fireplace stones or placed near the entryway of the home. Hexafoils is a great example, which were a 6-pointed daisy-like star, and it was a common protective design among Dutch Americans, and you can still see it in older homes. A common European folk practice was to bury something under the house next to the foundations or in the walls of the house. These days it might need to be near the foundation. Bones, shoes, and horse skulls were the most common things that were used. Also in European folk magic, the ashes from sacred bonfires on major holidays like Beltane and Samhain were used as protection or blessing. They might be carried around in a container or placed somewhere in the home. In some places, people would mix the ashes with water and anoint themselves or their homes. I like to use it to paint a protective symbol on the foundations outside my house. Body fluids like urine and blood have been used historically for protection. Blood was painted on objects to protect and claim space, and this is a very old tradition. Choosing to use body fluids or not is a personal choice, but it works really well. Protection can be replaced seasonally, twice a year, or whenever you feel like it's needed. The May Day, Samhain division, or summer solstice, winter solstice times are really common times to replace your protection. Over time, you'll develop your own sense for how often it's needed. And when it's time to replace them, it could be obvious. Maybe they're literally dusty or faded in color and you feel bored with them, or you seem to have to clear more often. If you're more skilled, there might be a sensation in your body that tells you it's time to renew your protections. Okay, everyone, let me know in the comments if any of these were helpful or new to you. Check out my description for links to blog articles, or to sign up for my newsletter, or to get more content on Patreon. If you enjoyed this video, please hit like and subscribe. It really helps my channel. Until next time, stay safe and be well.